Okay, we're back. Patterdale Talk Wednesdays. It's me, Woods, here with the bro Marshall. We got a special guest and interview, Chris, today. How you doing today, Chris?
Pretty good. I'm doing
Tonight.
awesome. Thank you guys for having me.
Hey, thank you for being on. Appreciate you, much appreciated. Marshall, you wanna say anything, bro?
Thanks to everyone for hopping on and listening for us. We appreciate y'all. Any questions you have, you should shoot us a text. If we don't get back to your question immediately, we're gonna roll back to them. We just get pretty deep in the conversations.
Yeah, leave a comment. We'll definitely get back to the question.
Dog talk.
Like always, this is brought to you by the Live Your Life Dogs and the New England Patterdale Terrier Club. Yeah, I got the nice little hat I got recently real quick just to see how it looks.
Chris, what state are you in?
I'm in Michigan.
Have you always dug in Michigan? Have you always lived there?
Yeah, I've always lived in Michigan, but I've been all over America to dig. Been in many states.
Michigan, for the most part, every time someone describes areas of it, it sounds like the digging is pretty decent. And even with what you described, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of rocks and stuff there either.
No, there's not. It's a lot of farm field and a lot of farm field dirt with wood chunks in it that are a couple acres. You know what I mean? In farm field, ditch lines. You know what I mean by that? Irrigation ditches, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's good for a lot of things. We get a lot of groundhog because of the field line and stuff, and we get a lot of coon because of the wood patches and the drain ditches that get covered with trees, and a lot of brush because they're constantly cutting down them drain ditches and stuff. So we get a lot of coon.
What got you into Patterdales in the first place?
Way back when I was into pit bulls, I went to my buddy's house and he had this little tiny 15-pound thing that kind of looked like a little pit bull, and it was mean as fuck. And I was like, "What kind of dog is that? You know, where'd you get that pit bull puppy?" And he was like, "Oh, that's Patterdale." So like 25 years ago, I was introduced to them, but I didn't start looking for one until about 14 years ago, after I lost my American Bulldog and needed another dog.
You said you hunted in a lot of different states. Do you have a favorite state to hunt in?
Georgia is a nice state to hunt in. You know, that's not too rocky. The clay is there. It's clay. You know what I mean? But it was a good state to hunt in. And New York is a good state to hunt in too. When I was there with Biggs hunting on his property, and I've been there multiple times.
Okay,
them orchards that he hunts are nice to dig. You know what I mean by that? And they're plentiful because they're orchards with groundhogs and coon and stuff. So I can't really say I have a favorite state.
Your first Patterdale that you got, where did you get it from? And did you dig with your first Patterdale?
Yeah, I dug to my first Patterdale, and I got my first Patterdale from Craig Wilson.
Oh, nice. So that's a good person, I think, to start with, because I've heard nothing but good things about Wilson bred dogs.
Yes, and so for the first 3 years I hunted and dug the dogs, I got them from Craig Wilson, and he would get some dogs from Scott Murdoch because they were breeding back and forth. You know what I mean? So I had some Wilson Murdoch bred dogs the first 4 years I was working these dogs. So,
are there any good Wilson dogs that kind of caught your eye when you were working with him?
The Diablo blood is really good.
Yeah, that's
when it's bred to the Storm dog. You know what I mean? Or the Stormy. And those were the first dogs that I got from Craig were Diablo bred to Storm, and then Diablo bred to Stormy, and Stormy is a Diablo Storm daughter. So it was kind of inbred that I got. And it was really good blood. It was really good blood. I like working it.
Was Diablo just a really hard dog?
I've never seen him work, and I really can't say anything about how his work ethic was or anything like that. I never watched him work, so
yeah. But now getting in touch with the Wilson blood and getting in touch with Scott Murdoch, that's a good place to start as far as working dogs. So those are some good old heads that kind of know what they're doing for sure.
Yeah, yep. And it was after got rid of the Diablo dogs, Craig was kind of sending me dogs that were cloud bred because Scott's got all that old cloud blood, Gould blood, Ken Gould blood is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So I mainly worked Gould blood that Scott has had. You know what I mean?
Do you have a favorite bloodline?
I would have to say Ken Gould blood is the blood I would prefer to work. You know what I mean? So and Scott has had a lot of that, and Craig has had a lot of that. Like my Miss Bootsy,
Yeah.
her sire was the Vlad dogs sent to 9-10 years ago, was sent to Craig Wilson, and Craig Wilson bred it to Black Iris, and that's where I got Bootsy from 9 years ago. But that Vlad dog is an import from Ken Cloud, like import from Ken Cloud.
Do you know a little bit about the cloud dogs? We can talk about it a little bit more because I feel like that's a line that's almost underappreciated now, to where a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I haven't heard. I've heard about it and heard things about it, but not as much as like any other bloodline. So yeah, that would be great if you could speak on that a little.
Well, but he had the Smitty dog and he had the Ken dog. You know what I mean? And the Vlad dog was sent here. I can't really speak on bloodlines besides those three dogs. You know what I mean? And I've seen other dogs work off them, but I can't really speak on Ken Cloud and his yard and his blood and stuff. Is what I'm trying to say. If that makes sense.
For the
I
Ken
just know that over the years I worked Gould dogs, and they're none of them have never let me down. They've always had the best nose, you know what I mean? And none of them,
Yeah.
and they've all stayed and they've all done their work, you know what I mean? I've never had a bad one, so to say.
So when you're saying you like their work, like what is kind of your preference in like a worker as far as style goes for a Patterdale? Like, do you think when you started, do you think it's changed from what you like now?
No, I've always had the same ethic. It has to go to ground. It has to stay, and it until I get to it, and it has to get the job done, and it has to have overall a great nose. If you can't find it, you can't hunt it. You know, you can't.
That was my next question. So the nose is okay.
Yeah. So I prefer nose above all, and I think that's why I like these Gould blood dogs is because they've never failed me nose wise. They've always located. You know what I mean? They've never been the like I ran boof dogs, and I've known this with my Gould bred dogs, Ken Gould blood dogs. The boof dogs didn't locate as well as the fucking Gould dogs. See what I'm trying to say with that?
Yeah, I've heard that.
And we're always on the back line. You know what I mean? I mean, I could hook a booth bred dog to a fucking bolt hole and know that groundhog or raccoon ain't getting out the bolt hole, and it'll work a brush pile and everything. But it's a lot of booth dogs. I've had a couple booth dogs, and they don't locate, so to say. So nose above everything is how I would say
Yeah.
all of this. Nose above everything.
So you don't like a one-dimensional worker. You want a dog who can basically do a jack of all trades, where it can find, fit, stay.
Yes.
Just not just like banking on one behavior, which is like you don't just need like a brawler, basically.
No, I don't need a brawler. I need something that's gonna do what these dogs are bred for, which is locate, go to ground or brush pile or whatever. Stay on the quarry until I can get there to help it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, I don't need a hard dog. You know?
Yeah.
You know, a hard dog isn't a smart dog. Is how I feel about it. You know what I mean? Not that they can't be smart, but it's more hard than it's gonna be to stay. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. So when you're hunting, you said you work in majority farmland. Do you ever get up in the woods in your spots?
Yeah, my grandpa's got a bunch of woods, and there's all kinds of woods that I hunt. But these farm fields that I hunt, Marshall, it's like 40, 50, 150 acres of farm. And in the middle of it all, there's, in between farm fields, there's these wood lots that are 2.5 acres, 2.5 acres by 5.5 acres in the middle of the wood lot.
Yeah.
So even when I'm hunting farm field, we get off them farm fields and into them wood lots that are a couple acres wide by a couple acres wide. So,
Yeah, I'm hoping I can work more of a woodlot type space behind my house. I'm real excited to get yeah. I also seen you do a little bit of kayaking. I like kayaking and water stuff as well. And I see sometimes you have your Patterdale like right in your chest with the kayaking.
yeah, we start them young with kayaking. My grandpa owns 90 acres of property, and 40 acres of it is waterfront and a family campground. It's where I hold my events and stuff. But there's 90 acres, 40 acres of it's like campground, and it's right on the Rifle River. 40 acres of waterfront. And it's the local tubing kayaking river that everybody floats down all summer and shit. It's really a good time.
I bet.
Yeah, I was wanting to do that for a while. When I went ratting, I used to have like a spot where I went ratting that they had a canal that went through in this park called Georgetown, DC, and it connected big parts of the river. And I really wanted to just kayak down with dogs and hop off, go ratting, and hop back on the kayak. That's something I wanted to do for a while, and maybe eventually in the future I might give it a try.
Yeah, I've never, when we float, we're floating. You
Yeah.
really can't. When you're floating down that river where we float almost every weekend all summer, there's a lot of private property along that river, so you really can't get off. And
That's fair. Yeah.
you know, you never know if you're getting off on state land or if you're getting off in somebody's back 40. You know.
Yeah, you gotta cover your butt.
Yeah.
At what age do you expect your dogs to kind of work and do what you like to see?
At least by a year. You know, at least by a year old. I'd like to see it young at like 5, 6 months old, just getting them started, showing them stuff in a cage, but not feeding them out of a cage. But letting them see a possum in a cage or a raccoon in the cage. They need that scent. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
To learn the scent. Don't ever feed a dog out of a cage. But about 5, 6 months old, I start showing them raccoons in a cage and possums in a live trap. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm hoping to see them barking and biting the cage. You know what I mean? Stuff at about 5, 6 months old. If it's not working at a year old and engaging on quarry and stuff like that, then I'm thinking at that point that it's
Not a keeper.
going to be a good dog. It's not a keeper. You know what I mean?
No,
And I would never put a dog that's never seen anything on a raccoon or a possum by itself and only seen it through a cage. I'd put it in a hunting situation where a schooled grown dog has already got something. And it can get in there and see if it wants to.
No, that makes sense.
Get in there too.
Yeah, that makes sense. I tell people all the time, like a back tie is a beautiful thing. Like if you can just back tie a young dog right in front of that older one working, doing his thing and build a little bit of frustration.
Yep.
You'll be able to see pretty soon what they want to do when you hop them off that back tie.
Yep. And I start showing my pups that with grown dogs, but keeping them back on a leash. You know what I mean? And stuff at about 5, 6 months old. If I'm showing them that at 5, 6 months old and they're wanting to get a taste with a school dog and bite something's ass, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'll let them. I'm gonna keep them safe. But if they're not doing that at a year and a half old, kind of on their own at that point, I'm looking at them as a downer. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, I agree.
That seems fair to me, especially for that long a time.
And that's really for any type of dog doing whatever, any type of dog doing any type of work.
Yep.
If they're not showing that by like a year, it doesn't matter, you know, herding, whatever it is. If they're not showing a little something, you know, by a year and a half, or even a lot of something by a year and a half, then yeah, that's probably not the dog.
Yeah,
that,
it's basic dog training at that point. You know what I mean? Whether you're running coons or you're running bear dogs or you're running, you know what I mean, bird dogs or a Labrador bringing back a duck. I mean, nobody's gonna keep taking a Labrador out at a year and a half old that can fetch a ball in their backyard, but it ain't gonna go get a duck. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. By a year and a half, whatever the dog's is bred to do and supposed to do, and you want it to do, if it's not doing that by a year and a half, yeah, you probably should move on. And I don't mean you know
Yeah,
you
we know. But
yeah,
yeah, and especially if you start teaching that dog that and showing that dog that when it's 5-6 months old.
yeah, and it's still not showing. Yeah, because correct. If you haven't and did anything to trigger that, and it's a year old, then it could be on you.
Yep. Could be
Exactly.
on you.
It could be on you. But if you've been doing things since 5-6 months to trigger that, and it's still not showing anything by a year, especially a year and a half, then yeah, we got to move on.
And with my Patterdales, I mean, I'm feeding them, kind of giving them rats and stuff like that when they're young as a pup. You know what I mean? 2-3 months old. You know what I'm saying? So they've seen a couple rats before they've ever seen a possum or a coon or anything.
So you say feed? You feed them rats? Like you let them eat?
No, not let them feed. I don't actually let them eat them. I'm just saying I'll take my 2-month-old puppy and throw a big old rat down in front of it and see if it's going to chase it down and do the job, you know?
Yeah, what I did, the last person we had in here, his name was RJ, and he had a young Patterdale he brought to the warehouse I train at in DC, and we gave her first rats, and she was doing good, so I gave her a little challenge. I got a tube and put 2 larger ones in the back, and was just getting her to draw them from the tube and bring them to me. And I felt like doing that. I was like, wow, this is really just good work and good habits of teaching her. Like, oh, when you engage and get on it, grab it and run your ass back to me.
Yeah, and if you start hiding them at that point, at that young of an age, and you start hiding them, Marshall, and actually making them use their nose to find what you've already introduced them to in that tube, you know what I mean? It's even better. Then you're just teaching location at that point.
Yeah, I like
you're teaching scent and location at that point, I feel.
Yeah, the urban ratting I like a lot for that because it just teaches them a lot of controlled chaos because they hop in on scent where there's like hundreds of rats and they want to try to find everything at once. And you got to show them, like, at the end of the day, like, you stick with me, you work with me, I get you on fur. And I feel like that
a lot of distractions.
Oh, a lot of distractions in urban space, and like you also can work up a little bit more stick if you want to. Like I can chuck a Patterdale in a can with like 10 rats initially, kind of see what's up and back them up and work on those skills. But it's just schooling and bringing pups out. There are some people, for some reason, I have some friends who are the reverse who just hate it, who rather just have the product of the adult dog and be like, I don't like to do all this. And I have some people who just love it. Like I feel like the majority of the people we have on here really enjoy bringing pups up.
You see, go ahead,
Chris.
Go ahead.
Huh?
I was going to say this. I really enjoy bringing dogs up. Most of these dogs that I have on my yard, I don't have, but for 3 years. Is only because these breeders like Calvin and Jamie Parks and Brian from Buckeye I used to work with, and Craig and Scott Murdoch and all them. These guys kind of send me their dogs, and I raise them up, and then I send them back proven, or they don't go back, so to say. You know what I mean? And I don't breed. I'm 13 years into these dogs, and I've only had 1 accident litter on my yard. And most of these dogs don't stay but 2.5, 3 years on my yard, and then they're sent back to these breeders, and then they send me more pups. You know what I mean? That's where I get my enjoyment out of all of this. That's bringing the dog up.
That's great. That's I mean,
that's like a racehorse breeder, like a racehorse trainer. Like you get the race.
Exactly. Yeah, like that's something good to have in the Patterdale community. You know what I mean? Just in general, and then it's kind of like one of those things where like someone got to do it.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it and if somebody doesn't do it and do it properly to prove a dog out, then the breeder isn't breeding a proven dog at that point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean that's been my part in this for 13 years. I've never bred a dog. I've never purposely bred a Patterdale. 1 litter in 13 years is an accident.
So when you first got on your first Patterdale, like when you started digging, like what made you feel like, holy crap, I'm hooked. I want to keep doing this.
It was my 1.5-year-old forest dog that
was
went to a groundhog, and I didn't really believe they would do that like I was told, and it was I think it was the fear of I might lose this dog in the ground. But then when I got to him and seen what he was on, it was like the adrenaline of all of it. Like the fear of losing my dog in this ground. Oh my God, he went in the hole. And then once I got to him and dug to him, to see his reward and everything off of that was like just doubled my adrenaline, and that's what hooked me on it, man.
How much did Forrest weigh?
About 25 fucking pounds, dude.
Yeah, Forrest was a big dog. I remember he posted a picture.
He was all Patterdale? Like,
yeah, 100% Patterdale. He was Diablo, Craig Wilson's Diablo, bred to Craig Wilson's Storm. And he was 25 pounds. And I dug that dog to coyote. Literally to coyote. He wouldn't fit anywhere else, really, once he got about 2 years old and was that big, 25 fucking pounds. But the dog would go to coyote den, man.
So how many?
I mean, 25 pounds, that's how much some coyotes weigh.
Yeah, but still, like that's an element we haven't talked about a lot here. Is how many coyote dens do you think Forrest worked with you?
Probably 3, maybe 4.
So that's pretty. So we haven't actually had someone come on and talk about working Patterdales on coyote dens. Is that a smart move? Is that like, can you be sustained? I mean, for a dog that size, you can rock with it, but
yeah for a dog that size, but no, not with these 15, 10-pound dogs I got. Yeah. I pray when I kick them off the bat, because we have a lot of coyote here in Michigan. So I kind of pray every time I kick these dogs off my tailgate that they don't go up on coyote. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's dinner for a coyote, one of these 12-pounders.
Yeah, and if I ever shoot a coyote while I'm deer hunting, I always drag it home and I show my Patterdales and I try to tell them no. You know what I mean? When they're looking at coyote, fucking absolutely in front of them, or coyote hide or coyote tail I cut off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I try to train them against not doing that, dude.
Yeah, that's not what you want.
No, I've kicked dogs off my tailgate, and they went and one of them went in coyote den and literally dug to my collar. And have to shoot a fucking coyote in the fucking head because it's chewing on my dog and eating my fucking Patterdale and got dead. You know what I mean? 3 times I've done this now in 13 years. And I have to shoot a coyote and take my fucking collar off my Patterdale and fill in a fucking hole.
What's the best way to potentially avoid that risk? Obviously, like if you're in the woods and you work in those tight spaces, there's some level of it being inevitable. But like, how do you avoid that?
A lot of times, I'm walking the ground beforehand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, and you could tell once you get to places like that, once you start walking around looking for tracks, you know what I mean? Looking at tracks and stuff, whether there's coyote in the area or not. You know what I mean? So if I'm walking around and I kick my dogs off the tailgate, we were there a month earlier and see no coyote track. And now I'm there a month later and I'm seeing coyote tracks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I will immediately pull my dogs, put them in a truck and walk that property and try to find out where that den's at or if they're just passing through.
Yeah. I think I have the advantage of having my lurcher for that, to where I can kind of put him out first and with his big ass kind of see what he notices and see if he can spook anything out of there. So I think that's one advantage I have of having him for that.
Yeah, I like having Henry around when I got Cinnamon, because even when she was like off, Henry would like you would just send him out and he would like go get her.
He's used to keeping tabs on him. He likes the smaller terriers, and like he knows that light, sharp barking means he might get on fur too if he just hangs out by the hole, because like he's I call him Patterdale adjacent. Like that's his affiliation. But like he's a smart lazy bastard. Like he knows, oh, if I just hang out, take a nap above that hole, whenever something pops up, that's action.
Yep. That's schooling, Marshall. You got him schooled properly.
Yeah, schooling helps, but also I just feel like their genetics where like they are like stoner dogs. Like they are just lazy and like it's not like Patterdale where their work ethic is die trying. Like lurchers are just like, I'm gonna take advantage of this circumstance.
Yep. I can see that.
Yeah, that was I like Henry a lot. Henry's a cool dog, man. Henry's a cool dog for sure.
What do you think is probably the deepest dig you've gotten yourself into where you're at?
Where I'm at in Michigan?
You can just guess it, like the deepest dig.
Well, the deepest dig in general, right, Marshall?
The deepest dig I've ever done in my life was with Kelvin and Biggs and John and Gabe, and it was on that picture that I sent you guys of that. Almost all at the back of that tailgate.
How big do you think the dig was? Like how far down?
It was 10 foot deep.
Ooh.
6 feet wide. I sent you a picture of Gabe in the bottom of that hole as well.
I think the last person we had on was said RJ. Matter of fact, and he said the same thing. His dig was about 10 foot deep, which is deep.
I think everyone's estimated close to 10 feet. I'm sure we probably got someone who's probably hit the 15, 20 mark. We just haven't measured it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have a tape measure with me, but
of course, yeah.
I mean, when you got a 6 foot emerald hunter in the bottom of a hole and there's still 3.5 feet of dirt over his head, you know what I mean? It's a 10-foot hole.
Yeah, that's fair.
Pretty, yeah.
The normal digging here in Michigan is about 2 to 4 feet. Yeah, I barely get to 5 feet ever. It's 2 to 4 feet here in Michigan.
Yeah, I'm
that's good.
I'm responding to what Jamie said. He said I just sent a nice little puppy northeast to Raekwon. Raekwon is my friend in Jersey who's just getting into these Patterdales. So he's gonna have a lot of fun. He doesn't realize how good he has at being in Jersey with how much like fox and groundhog he has near him.
That's for sure.
We used to have a lot of fox around where I'm at, and I think I kind of hunted them out in the first 6-7 years. I probably took about 20 of them out of where I'm hunting. Where I hunt is in Omer, where my grandpa's property is, and I hunt all the farm fields and stuff and the farmers around there. So I think for the first 5-6 years, I hunted all those fox out, and we don't really see them much more around here anymore. The last couple of years, they've been coming back because when I do find them, if they're still able to be let go and not fucking jaw broke and all tore the fuck up and shit, you know what I mean? I will release them because if I kill them all, they won't breed and I can't hunt them 6 more years down the road. You know, see what I'm trying to say? That?
Yeah.
You know, I remember hanging out with Tim and he'd show me some holes and he'd be like, in this one hole is the same damn fox I've been bolting for the past 5 days.
Yep. Well, the thing with me is as soon as a dog goes to ground around me, the very next rule is there's still 2 or 3 dogs on the ground. So as soon as the dog goes to ground, I immediately start checking around that hole for a bolt hole.
Yeah.
As soon as I find a bolt hole, boom, the dog that didn't go to ground goes on that bolt hole, so nothing can bolt. See what I'm trying to say?
That makes sense. And I tell a lot of people to either go that route. And honestly, when the 3 of us were out, that's probably how it was going to have to happen. Was eventually we had my lurcher, he had his pat, and our friend had the other pat. So that was the plan, is posting one on a bolt hole. Yep. But we had the one guy, Billy Houston, on here who's been showing us these awesome groundhog nets, and they are great for bolt holes. You put them on there, you got a caught groundhog.
Yep. I've seen them do that with ferrets and rabbits.
His nets are almost the same. He has a handle on it and everything. You can just walk it right out with a handle on it when you're done.
Yeah, they're kind of like them fishing cast nets that you throw
Yeah.
out and
Yeah.
get a whole bunch of minnow in them and stuff. You pull on the bottom of it and it comes all together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically what it's like. I haven't had to use them because, like I said, I got the lurcher kind of hangs out by boat holes. But I'm gonna try and use it this spring if we end up getting my friends are getting their pats on stuff. So we'll see.
That's always kind of been my method. I've never really casted just one dog. It's always 2 or 3. You know.
Do you think that provides good competition to where, like, if you had 2 or 3 out, they're competing each other to get over that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly it.
Healthy competition's good. Like I tell people, like, there's a difference between healthy competition and like brutally like aggressive competition. Like I had a friend who brought 2 brothers out and they had been together for a while, and it was just toxicity. Like they would, like, any rat they get on, they rip it half in each other. They would like be working at distance and eyeball each other and it be on. Like it was just those two. They were fine of every other dog. It was just those 2 brothers where it just was not even worth the risk.
Yeah, I start training that out of my dogs right away, man. I don't put up with any kind of fighting at all. We have to work as a pack. You know what I mean? So,
and that's good. And that's key. Is a lot of people don't realize, like, the more shit you let slide with these dogs, the more they find to be acceptable in tough times.
Yeah, they're like a game bred pit bull. You give them an inch, they want a fucking mile. You know?
Yeah. And I might have asked you this before, Marshall, but Chris, actually, Marshall, you actually told me that you don't like this too much as far as letting like 2 dogs go at the same time in one hole.
No, I don't do that.
Most of the people everyone we spoke to doesn't agree with it, but I asked just because you do see videos
Accidents happen. I mean, at the end of the day, like, if you free cast the dogs, they're going to shoot out and get there. But your dog can be like in deep water if they live 2 in the same hole together. It can be a tough situation.
Yeah. And anytime I've gotten in that kind of situation, and I've noticed that there is 2 dogs in the ground, I will get my Bellman and Flint out, you know what I mean, and my peeps and my Orthodox, and I will find exactly where they're at, and I will dig to them and pull the dog that's behind.
Yeah.
Because obviously the dog that's behind the dog, you know, the other dog,
he didn't get
got there second. You know what I mean? And I will pull that dog. That's almost like an emergency kind of thing. If you got 2 dogs in the ground and that one dog that's got there first is on quarry, the other dog is only behind it, pushing it forward into more danger. See what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And that your first dog can't back up any and can't go forward any because it's in the quarry. See what I'm trying to say? And it's got another Patterdale behind it trying to push forward behind it and around it. You know what I mean? It's a very dangerous situation.
Yeah, I had a guy who I used to hunt with, and he liked it. He had a lot of Patterdales. He liked to free cast 4 or 5 pats plus the one I'd bring out. Damn. And it got to the point of being too stressful. Like I hated a bunch of dogs out at once, and like I said, like if that dog has that one dog behind it and he can't back up, that dog better be hard, because that's a great way to clear a young dog out.
Yep. It better be hard, because the only thing that dog behind it's doing is pushing it into quarry.
Yeah,
that's there. I mean, it's great in a big brush pile situation or brush, because most of the time there's not just one raccoon or one possum in that fucking brush. There's a couple. You know what I mean? And it's good in a brush situation because it's not like a hole situation where it's all stuck. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah. Yep.
It can't back up, and the other dog can't back up or anything. And
it makes sense. When we was talking to Bobby, he said that he had a dog that went into him or a friend or whatever the case might be. There was a dog that went into the brush, and the dog ran into like several raccoons. You know what I mean? Like you said, that in that case, that's when you might, if you got 4 Patterdales going into a brush and there's several raccoons, then you're gonna want that, because as we already know, 1 raccoon is enough work. Never mind if you got 2, 3, 4 on one dog. You got 3 I mean, pretty much if you got 2 dogs, probably done. But if you got 3, for sure, you know what I mean. Raccoons get busy, so.
And a
Yeah,
raccoon will defend itself, and
They'll-
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
and it's other raccoons around it.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, in a brush pile, several dogs definitely could come in handy. Because there could be several coons in the brush pile.
Let's see what Eddie says. The last comment.
What do you say? What he's talking about?
Gritty Terrier will eat the back end of the first dog, seen it firsthand. That can definitely happen.
Yep,
Like
that could definitely happen.
same sex dogs too, like a 2 males or 2 females. That's what
Yep.
makes it kind of worse.
Or just a hard dog, behind that first dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there is a hole in the ground. It's dark. They can't see what they're chewing on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I could see a really hard dog just biting whatever the fuck it got to once it got to where the commotion was at.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's why it's a dangerous situation.
And there's dogs that are hard enough for the alpha kicking where they'll bite a dog. I've seen situation where dogs will bite another dog trying to get to it. So even if they know it's another dog, they might try to bite through it or bite it to move it out the way or whatever the case might be to get to what they want. You know what I mean?
Yep, I've seen that a bunch. My old Miss Boots dog actually gets older. If she's located first and ain't went in that hole, you know what I mean? And already in that hole, and she's just shoulder in that hole or a foot and a half in that hole, and another dog tries to get in behind her, she will snap at that other dog like, "Hey, this is my hole, motherfucker. I found it. Get the fuck off of me." You know what I mean? Type shit.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Miss Boots, you kind of mentioned her briefly for a second, but like from what you've seen and what you described, like that kind of seems like your ride or die, like Miss Boots.
she is. She's gonna be 10 years old here in April on my birthday. April 12th is when Craig Wilson gave her to me. She'll be 10. She's probably the best dog I've ever had, location wise and staying. And
yeah, actually, if you can, Ronald, I want to go to the picture with Miss Boots where he has holding her and the raccoons on the handle of the shovel, like the young raccoon.
Yep.
I'll talk about that. Yep, right there. Perfect.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this now, real quick, before we just because you said the age and she's your best dog. Now I know you said that you never bred dogs besides that one time of the accident. How come her being your best, you feeling like she's your best dog, and how come and stuff like that? How come you never? And obviously now she's 10 years old, so she's too old to breed.
Yes.
But how come you never bred her? If
when she was
so old, she's my best dog. I definitely want some offspring off her to keep, even if it was to keep for yourself.
We had plans to breed Miss Boots to Kelvin's swag dog when she was about 4.5, 5 years old. After she was proven,
that would have been legit.
And Miss Boots hasn't came into heat since she was 4.5 years old.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't get a swell out of her since she's been 4.5, 5 years old. I don't get a little drip of blood. I've seen nothing heat wise out of Bootsy since she's been about 5 years old. That's really the reason why she's never been bred.
Does she have any sisters?
That explains.
Does she have any sisters?
Yeah, she does have a sister. It was the Bailey dog.
Did Bailey have the same? Did Bailey ever go into heat like her? Like not at all? Or
now my buddy Dan just got Bailey from Chris McCarvey in Ohio. And when he just got Bailey 4 months ago, she was in heat.
Wow.
And Bailey hasn't been beat to fuck like Boots has been beat to shit. You know what I mean? And she doesn't act like a 9, 10-year-old dog. She acts more like a 5, 6-year-old dog, and she still goes into heat. But Dan got her from Chris McCarvey. I raised that Bailey dog up. That plaque that I showed you guys.
Yeah.
Bailey, Boots' sister, won that plaque in New York. That one right there.
Yep.
She won that plaque in New York. It wasn't Miss Boots that won that. It was her belly sister, Bailey,
Now,
that won that plaque. And that wasn't a show. That was actually a hunt that she won. She found the most fur that weekend in the whole fucking 9. You know what I mean?
And that was the goal, to find the most fur. That's how she got it.
Yes. The dog that found the most fur and stayed on the most fur, you know what I mean? That weekend got that plaque. And that was Bootsy's sister that did that. Now, Chris McCarvey from Ohio, I don't know if you know Chris.
I've heard the name.
But he just gave my buddy Dan that lives here in Michigan. Dan, I can't pronounce his last name. He's a Mexican guy.
Yeah.
You've probably seen him on the Facebook and the Patterdale pages. But he just got her, and she was in heat when he got her. You know what I mean? So I think we're gonna I'm trying to con him into breeding her into a swag straw like we were gonna do with Miss Bootsy. And I'm talking about Calvin Swag. You guys know Swag, right?
Yeah, no, I know Swag. As soon as you said that, that sounds like a really good breeding. Were there any other males that you kind of had an idea of what you like? Obviously, it was just like an idea, but what did you wanted to put back to her?
Maybe Mayhem, Calvin's Mayhem.
That would have been cool too. There you go.
Yep. I mean, that was the plan with me and Calvin and Boots.
Okay,
4.5 years ago. Just Bootsy just never came into heat, you know.
Do you is there any nieces and nephew around?
No, look, Bootsy's dad, the Vlad dog that was imported from Ken Gould, was only bred 3 times.
Yeah.
And then I know where Miss Boots is and where Bailey was. I had Bailey for 3.5 years, almost 3.5 years of her life. You know what I mean? But Craig Wilson never really let me know where any of that Vlad blood went.
Yeah.
You know, he was only bred 3 times. I mean, my buddy Warren Myers got some Vlad blood, but it wasn't Belly's sister to Boots or Bailey. And he bred it a little bit, but he started breeding it into Boots blood. And now, 9 years later, it's more Boots bred than it's ever going to be that Gould blood. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean,
so I can't breed back into that. So the next best thing is to go to Mayhem, which is Scott Murdoch's old Gould blood, mixed with a little bit of Cocker, or go into Swag, which is still Scott Murdoch's old Gould blood bred into that Cocker stuff, which is the puppy that I have now that Calvin just gave me a couple months ago.
Yeah. What are some? Do you think a lot of the good hard lines kind of more so come from Ireland than they do like England? It's kind of a random ass question. I know it is.
I wouldn't have an opinion on it. You know, almost all the dogs I really worked were American bred, so to say. You know what I mean?
I think. Like that Cocker line originally, I think that's Ireland. I'm trying to think of other places derive more from like
the Cocker line originally is Ireland.
Yeah,
because I looked in and did a little homework on a whole bunch of those stuff in lines. But yeah, the Cocker line originally from Ireland, and it came out here, and when it came out here, it was like the new big thing.
The dog that I'm working now, that Calvin just gave me, I'm gonna start her. She's 6 months old. I'm gonna start her. She looks really promising. You know what I mean? She is Cocker and Scott Murdoch's old Gould blood. She's bred down from Mayhem and Candy and Swag. So in the first 3 generations of the pedigree, Mayhem's name's there twice with Candy. You know what I mean? And then the bottom of the pen is Candy and Swag, so to say, with all within the first 3 generations.
Yeah, you know your shit on your peds. It took me a while to figure my shit out when it came to some of these dogs learning it.
I'm taking notes.
No, Chris, you know your shit. Like you've been able to kind of sit and kind of reference at least 3 to 4 generations back as we've been talking each time.
Yeah. So it's the dog that I'm working for Calvin now, is line bred down on Mayhem, Swag, and Candy.
Yeah.
Yep. And Candy's a cocker bred dog.
Yeah. How big do you think she's going to be when you have, if you can guess it? I mean, 6 months, but.
She's 6 months old now, and she's still under 10 pounds. And I don't think she's going to get any more than 13,
12.
maybe 14 pounds. She's still really small and
Nice.
thin in the chest and long-legged and thin bones, so to say. You know what I mean?
Nice.
She's not a robust-looking dog. You know what I mean? She's small and petite,
Yeah. I think I want to circle back to when you were talking about doing that competition with Bailey at Biggs's place. So I'm kind of interested in that. Unfortunately, just because of my schedule and where I'm at, where I was in the States, I haven't been able to go to any of the Patterdale type hunting shows. But was that pretty fun?
It's always fun going to Biggs's. I always go in October on his last year of the hunt, only because I'm a big salmon fisherman. And it's like I stay for the whole week. We hunt the dogs on the weekend. Every time I'm down there, we hunt the dogs on the weekend for his last big hunt. And then for the next 3 days, me and him are salmon fishing. So it's like, it's always fun, extra fun for me because I get to do both. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
It's always a great time down there. The food is great. He's a great host. You know what I mean? There's thousands and thousands of orchard land to run when you're down there with him. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah, we're talking about Big. Yeah, it's always a great time with him. I've never had a bad time with him. And even when he comes down here and brings his entourage, when he comes, he brings his kids and 4 or 5 other people and shit. You know what I mean? And
yeah, me and you talked about this like a smidge last night. But like when you have like friends like that and you're hunting and working a space, like how much space do you kind of think you need to be able to like run out those dogs to find fur? Like
I have about 4,000 acres of property to run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and when we do hunts like that, I will let everybody else run their dogs. You know what I mean by that? I may run my dogs. I may not run my dogs. Most of the time, you've traveled to get to me, so I'm gonna let you guys work your dogs, and I'm just gonna show you where it's profitable for you to work your dogs. But I have so much land, Marshall, that I can work 100 acres here and then drive 15 minutes up the road and work 100 acres here. You know what I mean? And drive 5 minutes down the road and work 500 acres here. You know what I'm saying?
4,000 acres is I mean,
yeah.
that's fucking way.
It's a lot of property. I have three different major farmers that I work with around my grandpa's place. You know what I mean? So when you add all their property up together, we got about 4,000 acres of property, and it's all farmland. I mean, some of them, it's all corn, soybean, shit like that.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing to be able to have that. I think I haven't been hunting here like a ton since I moved here, but I gotta imagine to be able to even get close to that, I probably would need at least 10 to 20 farms in different states in New England, and it wouldn't be like that 10-minute drive you're describing. It would probably be like a good 20 miles in between.
What about 1,500 acres we got right now available?
1,500?
I said 1,500 acres me and you got available as far as like the spots you got, the spots Peter got, the spots I got, the spots Keith got, or the farm owners I know, the farm owners Keith knows. All together, we're probably about 1,500, maybe 2,000. Because there's a couple farms that Keith knows that they're pretty good size, Marshall. We'll get to them obviously this spring and summer, but
I'm just chomping at the bit because my time is so fragile. Like I think people kind of know on this. Like June 5th, me and my wife are expecting, so we're gonna have a kid, so we'll be pretty busy. So I'm trying to hunt as much as I can being a new place and in the area.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I got 5 kids, so I know how it goes.
I got 5 kids too, but I'm 53 years old, and all my kids are grown besides the one I'm raising now, and he's 12. So
yeah, I got a 12-year-old daughter. I got 19 to 2 is my age range, so I know how it goes.
All my other kids are grown. Besides my 12-year-old, my youngest after that's 26 now. So
okay, yeah,
yeah, they're all grown and out of the house.
I'll get there one day.
But yeah, it'd be nice for you to get down here to me, Marshall. I mean, spend some time, you know.
What do you Chris? What do you feed your dogs?
Diamond puppy food.
Nice. I used to right now I have board and train actually. He's eating the diamond lamb and rice.
Oh, and lately I've been mixing it with this salmon and rice mix. I'll show you. Hang on.
We gotta go through the comments because we've had a nice little
it's this. I don't know if you guys can see it.
I've seen that before. Yeah, that's I've seen that before.
Yeah, it's really high in protein, and it's like you can get a salmon and rice, you can get a salmon and oatmeal, you can get a salmon and sweet potato, and lately I've been mixing it up. You know what I mean? 50-50 diamond puppy food and this stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
Woods is our kibble specialist, so you can tell us if that's good or not.
Huh?
You're a personal kibble specialist, so you can tell us if that's good or not.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. My buddy was feeding it to his Chihuahua, and when he opened the bag, it like hit me with odor in the face so hard in the kitchen. I was all like, man, that fucking shit smells so strong. It's got to be good.
No, yeah, that's I mean, that's good. It's not cheap though.
No, it's not cheap. It's not cheap. That's why I 50-50 it with that diamond puppy food, man. I get a 40-pound bag of diamond puppy food up here for $39. You know what I mean? So
yeah. And then 50-50 it spread it out.
Yeah, I spread it out.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah, everything gets 2.5 cups a day here. You know what I mean? Sometimes 3. And I boost it up to about 4 cups in the winter time.
Yeah.
Per dog. But during the spring and the summer, they're getting about 2.5, 3 cups apiece a day.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mate feeds diamond puppy food, man. You can't beat it.
Yeah, I think for Patterdales, honestly, for their metabolism, my dad's a vet, and I always asked him, is like, does it matter if they're not an adult food? And he's just like, for your dog's metabolism, why would it matter?
Yeah, with the Patterdales metabolism, you just want the highest fat content and the highest protein content in the dog food. You know what I mean? So
yeah, the diamond puppy, the purple bag.
Yeah, it's purple bag. Yep, it's purple bag. Yeah. And I find it's got the highest protein and fat content in it out of really any other food. You know what I mean? Even other diamond food it's got the highest protein level out of all diamond food I've found.
Yeah.
Even
their sport, their lamb and rice, and their chicken and rice and shit.
Even they're like they got one that is high pro on it, but that's also because it's puppy food too.
Yes.
Puppy kibble, it has a lot of protein because they're trying to make sure the puppies get nice, healthy, and fat.
Yep, and that's kind of what you need with a high energy, high sprung little tiny dog like a Patterdale. There's a lot of protein in that food. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the fat content to kind of keep the weight on their little energetic, high energy asses. So I've always fed the diamond puppy food. It's always seemed to do great. I've never had problems with it. And that's what I feed.
Zaneri, he said he's got a puppy off of my Jeffrey Dahmer dog. Hopefully she works. Take him back to her.
That's
the guy. I know. I read his little comments.
Yeah, that's Dan. That's the Dan guy. That's the guy that they just gave Bailey to, Bootsy's sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's down here a lot. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. That pup that I just got from
He's
Calvin.
a good guy. That is him. That's what he said.
Yeah. So
What would you say? What was you saying, Chris?
that Jeffrey Dahmer dog they just got from Calvin is the puppy that I have, sire.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds like I mean, if you name a dog Jeffrey Dahmer, I assume it eats faces. So if you're gonna do that, I'm assuming it's a hard dog. It's gonna be really messed up if his dog fucking bays and his name is Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah. I've worked with that dog a couple times, and there ain't no bay in that dog at all. So it really ain't.
Living up to his title of biting people.
Living up to his name.
And that dog, that Jeffrey Dahmer dog that he's got a really good nose on him too. He's a good locator.
Now, do you work your dogs as far as do you just put them out there and let them do their thing, or do you work them out? Do you condition them? Work on the bite? Work on this? I don't know, treadmill, slap mill, any of that, or just
I don't do no treadmill stuff or anything, but there's tug of war and play, and I'm at the river a lot all summer, so there's swimming and kayaking and stuff like that. But it's mainly just casting them, you know.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not really into conditioning my dogs or anything.
I agree with that. It took me a while to kind of figure out at the end of the day, like the job that you're doing is going to serve the purpose of like burning them out. Like that, and it kills two birds with one stone every time. I mean, I kind of consider ratting conditioning because it's not like testing and seeing, but it's just a good way to school pups and just like continue.
Yeah, I mean, anytime a dog's running back and forth, it's a type of conditioning. I mean, me personally, and it's probably because I come from. I mean, we all, as far as I'm not really Marshall, but me and Chris, we come from the pit bull world. It's just natural to kind of condition your dog, but I think there's one thing as far as Patterdales, even if you don't really do the extra conditioning that you would do for like a bulldog or whatever. As far as like, I think you should work on their bite.
Yeah, and that
if you don't do nothing else, I think you should work on their bite.
Well, and that comes with when I get a puppy, it's in my house with me for the first 6 months of its life. You know what I mean? I just put this pup out on a chain. She's been in my house for the last 5 months, playing tug of war with me every day.
There's a lot of
the coon skin underneath my couch and playing tug of war. You know what I mean? It's schooling kind of puppy play. You know what I mean? So it's like.
But that's also bite work. Yeah, that's bite work.
That's what I'm getting at is it's all bite work. You know what I mean? It's all conditioning in a way, you know.
Yep. This is just keeping them out in the field in timber is conditioning. Yeah.
Yes.
That's why dogs that's why dogs that live on a lot of land and are able to run around a lot, and you know, I mean, they don't gotta be 50 acres, but even if it's a nice sized backyard and they're able to sprint and run around all day, that dog would definitely look more in shape than a dog that's just eating and getting walked 3 times a day. And only those 3 walks might add up to an hour and a half. You know what I mean? Where a dog who's running around the backyard for 5-6 hours a day, you're gonna see the difference.
Yep. And also this, when you got your dogs out, you're casting them, you may walk 8 miles, but your fucking dog has probably done 20 miles.
Yeah.
So
Henry says, I agree with Tim, whoever conditions doesn't get out much. I mean, I don't know. I mean, because you get, I don't know. I mean,
it kind of varies. I think here in spots in the deep winter when the ground is so frozen where you can't dig, if you want to get mill your dog, so be it. And that is a good way to kill steam. But for the most part, like, yeah, I think getting out and working and doing your thing, even if it is just ratting, is enough of an equivalent to keep your dog in shape with good genetics.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
I mean, as far as like even, I mean, he said I agree. Doesn't get out. I mean, it depends. I mean, you can condition your dog at 12 midnight. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, obviously you could go out hunting at 12 midnight too, also, but you can condition. I mean, there's nothing to tie your dog, chain him to a treadmill,
Yep.
put me lights in front of it, and have him run for 15 minutes. That's not gonna take too much time out your day.
No, and I was gonna get to that too. You know, if you got time in your day to do stuff like that and do that extra conditioning, then good for you, man. Do it. I would if I had that extra time. I would, you know.
Yeah. Because, like, I mean, for instance, I mean, even like, all right, we all, I mean, but for some of us here, you know, whether you're at your laptop working, or you're having a drink, or you're watching something on TV, you're watching a football game, you're watching a basketball game, you could easily
hook
be
them up.
watching a football game and have your dog on a treadmill or slap mill, or
you could
a spring pole right next to you. You know what I mean? It's not.
Oh, I had a carpet mill. Yeah, the carpet mill definitely was cool to see those working prints, and like, because I had multiple terriers, it was good to kind of crank them up and do it. But when I had my Patterdale Barry by himself, unless I made the effort of like making it look like something was worth biting in front of him, he wasn't gonna run it. He'd rather just like work a wood pile. Like that was how he wanted to burn steam.
And there's also the dog too. There's some dogs where you don't want to slap mill, and they'll just run.
Yep.
And then there's some dogs, like you said, you gotta put some in front of them.
My lurcher, it's a hard nope. You could put my lurcher on any mill, and he would look at you and be like, nothing's running in front of me.
Yeah, that's one thing that's good about the treadmill sometimes, though, because the treadmill, because the that rubber piece is moving under them, they just naturally start walking, because you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it's kind of like weird, but they're trying to, like, they don't want to get choked, so they just stay thing. But I mean, it's all an opinion. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing.
No, I don't either. I don't
think it's a bad thing to not. You know what I mean? Yeah. It is. It's all it's all opinion. You know how that goes. But like 90% of things in life, it's opinion.
I mean, it's not a bad thing. Anything that you're doing with a dog to help work your dog is a positive thing with your dog.
Do you yeah, I kind of want to, we'll just hop back into hunting and shit too. But do you deal with a lot of sand and stuff where you dig?
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of sand where I dig. There is.
Is it just because there's just no rocks? I feel like we just have so much rocks here.
Yeah, it's probably because you got no rocks. And where I'm at, I'm on the kind of like the coastline. You know what I mean? Of Michigan. I'm not in the middle. You know what I mean? I'm out on the bay and stuff. You know what I mean? Close to the bay and stuff. So, there's beaches all around Michigan. So as soon as you get a little bit, if this is Michigan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm right here, and I work dogs up here. So I'm like right off the bay. This is all water around me, man.
Yeah.
So it's like I deal with a lot of sand. You know what I mean?
That also helps with game, though. Anytime there's water around, there's animals around.
Yep. Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Do you ever see nutria where you're at, or like see like a lot of beaver?
No, I've seen a bunch of beaver, but we don't have any nutria here in Michigan. Not that I know of. I've never seen one in Michigan, anyway.
Yeah.
That man owns a mill, I can tell. Oh, I'm not hating. I'm just. Who owns a mill?
I don't.
None of us in here own a mill. Yeah. Not at all. Not at all. But yeah, no, never seen any out there.
No opinions ever nasty on here, man. Say whatever you want to say. Ask whatever questions as long as it's relevant. Like,
yep.
No one's opinion is nasty here. As long as you don't say screw someone else, we're cool.
Yeah, we're cool. I mean, it's all opinion, Each our own, man.
That was Dan that said that.
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
over the
yeah,
mill.
yeah. At the end of the day, there's one thing we all got in common. We all love the Patterdale, so you know.
They're asking if I run into badger up here.
Do you? Yeah, do you?
Do you?
There are badger in Michigan. I know that for a fact, but I can honestly say I have never ran into one yet. Not one yet.
So they just where they're not in their area, wherever, you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's badger here. I know Scott Murdoch for sure has been on badger, but he's an hour and a half away from me. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
So where I'm more north, he's more south. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I'm more north, he's more south. But I've never ran into a badger. Ever. Never. I wish I would,
I honestly wish badger were even like an hour and a half from me. I don't even know the closest area or space to even get badger. I mean, Tim was on here and he talked about getting badger and working him in New Mexico. I mean, the closest thing we got to a badger basically is a giant ass groundhog.
Yep. Giant groundhog with 3-4-inch claws.
Yeah, like 20
bite
pounds
harder than any groundhog will bite. But yeah, the closest thing we got probably to that's a groundhog.
Yeah, I gotta imagine also these badgers probably move and go a lot because they're like,
badgers are look. You're definitely correct, Marshall. They move a lot more than other animals that will stay in dens for sometimes years.
Yeah. Oh, I know that I belong to like a bunch of Michigan outdoor pages and stuff. And I've seen a lot of trail cam photos and stuff of badger and stuff like that here in Michigan, but I've never personally ran into one.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I don't even know. That'd probably either be like a really. I doubt they bolt. I don't think Tim ever mentioned about any one of them like circumstances.
Badgers?
Yeah.
Oh nah. Badgers are willing to fight for sure.
Yeah, any video that I've seen, and I've seen a lot of video from overseas and stuff. None of them are ever bolted. They're standing ground.
Yeah.
Literally standing ground.
Yeah, badgers. I mean, just me fucking with animals and being heavy into the animal world since I was a kid, all types of animals. Yeah, badgers are pretty aggressive themselves. You know what I mean? Just alone, like they don't really run from. Sometimes they don't run from shit 3-4 times their size.
Can you pull up a YouTube video of an American badger fighting with a dog? Let's just see like a random one. I think there's a good one. I think of a Rhodesian Ridgeback, like it's walking up on a badger and being like, "Holy crap!" If we could find a Patterdale one, that'd be cool. But I doubt we'd have that.
No, you'll probably just find pictures of guys that from the UK with their dog next to a dead badger.
But you'll see people like now, like down south, like scruffing these American badgers in videos, like drunk, being like, "Woo!" Like,
yeah, running up on them on fields and shit, catching them in the middle of the field and holding them and shit. Marshall, like you're saying,
buckets,
diving on them and shit. I've seen a couple of videos.
You guys can see this, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
This might be like a baited video. This might just be like a dog sniffing one and running away. We'll see. The title. Oh shit! You play out. I'm assuming this badger's shot. I can't tell. He's chilling too much.
He started out hot and slowed down quick.
Yeah, this is a European badger too. I assume it looks shot. I don't know. It's so limp.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like it started out hot for a minute there and then said, "Oh."
That was clickbait. You can't show me shot game. Yeah. Great sound effect here.
I think that's more the dog screaming, I think.
That's a yag. That's a fucking yag shit. This sounds like a fucking dream call. Ugh. PTSD from having a yag now. Like I co-own one, and I had a kennel, and it sounded like that Plus made like Pac-Man noises. Like Tim's on here. Tim can tell you.
See, this guy is not fucking around.
That's a Leica.
I'll be right back.
You're
All
good.
right.
I mean, I guess that back your probably doesn't care if it gets bit or not because it can just turn its skin, and this dog knows that too. I'm about to look at my phone and see if I can send you a video.
Terrier versus fox.
Raccoon dogs are cool. I'm sure people dig those in Europe.
Raccoon dogs, them shits are fucking crazy.
I think we had one video of this where we looked at that.
What, raccoon dog?
Yeah, I think we had like our second episode, we just like went on like a raccoon dog tangent of trying to find videos of this being dug on.
Yeah, we found some.
Yeah, we'll go to what Eddie just said. I agree with that 100%. But this comment.
Let me see. Eddie?
Yeah. I agree with what you said, Eddie, but like I mean,
yeah,
there used to be some good videos where you could kind of see them working near like a hole or a space, but it's just hard to like record that and make it look good unless something's like flipping out. I mean, unless you're like really in the mix or like can dig really fast and like get a camera in there, but that'd probably be a really difficult thing to film accurately.
Definitely. Not probably. It would definitely be a difficult thing.
I'm back. Oh, I think a badger would probably backfill faster than a groundhog could backfill.
Groundhogs
what you guys are talking about?
Fast though. I don't know if I really compare it to that, but like dude, they can kick a lot of dirt on top of your dog's head and just keep going.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like a groundhog does the same thing. It'll backfill. You know what I mean by backfill?
Yeah.
Gave your dog.
I've lost a lot of groundhog to that, to where my dog hasn't gotten to the groundhog yet. So the groundhog is backfilled and closed the tunnel, so to say, that your dog's coming up, and used another tunnel to bolt.
Yeah. Have you ever had a situation where like the groundhog's like been in the hole and it put dirt on top of itself and your dog was just walking on top of it without even realizing it was there?
No.
I've had that where like the dirt's like been on top of them and they'll just be moving up and down. They'll kick dirt and put on top of their back.
No, I've never had that happen.
It's crazy.
No, normally when I dig to a groundhog, my dog's face to face with that already, you know.
Yeah.
So
walling up, like how you said, that's what they do too. Is they have that little wall and they use the block, and then they end up being like face to face with that little corner. Your dog will like poke and bite their face.
Yeah, I've had that before, to where when I dig to them, there's just a little tiny bit of the groundhog head sticking out, and my dog on the other end of the tunnel, and they're face to face, so to say. But never anything it's been like up on top of a shelf above my dog.
Okay. You might have answered this already, but what's the hardest dog you ever had? Is a question in the chat.
I don't know. I want to say my Miss Bootsy, you know what I mean? Only because I put the most work underneath of her. But that dog that I just sent back to Jamie Parks, my pup,
yeah,
she was really, really hard, man. Like hard. And she was small and she'd get there. And I think in the long run, 9 years later, I think that pup that Jamie Parks gave me would be a better dog than Miss Bootsy is to this day. If you want the truth. That pup that I had located just as good as Bootsy, and was a little bit smaller and got to the quarry quicker and bit just as hard, you know what I mean, if not harder. So I don't know. I would say probably my pup.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. So
Yeah, that's true.
I took her back to Jamie about a year ago when I moved and had to give all my dogs back. You know what I mean? And I've only got 2 dogs now, but I'm normally holding 6 to 8 dogs. For the last 10 years, I've held 6 to 8 Patterdales on my yard. I only have 2 now. But year and a half ago, almost a year and a half ago, I sent Pup back to Jamie so he could breed her.
Yeah.
Yeah, he bred her to her brother, and now he's asking me if I want her back, and I'm for sure gonna get her back here. She should be back here in a couple months. You know what I mean? I'm back and working on my yard again. And
Yeah. Well, at least you're preserving her and preserving what she can do and like getting good dogs off of her. That's important.
no, that's the point of my whole journey with all this, Marshall. Is that's all I've done all these 13 years. I raise them up and send them back 2.5, 3 years later, and the breeders can do what they want with them or send me another pup. You know.
Yeah, no, I mean you kind of have to, and especially like that's kind of what I'm thinking about now is the space I have, having like having property so close to the woods. I'd like to eventually get to the point where I have at least like 3 to 4 good dogs I can move and rotate and stuff like that. I'm just trying to make sure I have the right amount of property where I can do that successfully and have that space I can hunt. And that's all it's been now since I moved here. It's just been like scouting my woods, trying to find some farms. There's like a lot of hobby farmette type spaces here where it's just little small acreage.
Yeah, and you have some decent sized coyotes where you're at, Marshall.
Yeah, they really. I mean, there's something I have to look out for, but I've just been kind of pretty smart about them, and having the lurcher out's been cool. And as I continue doing this, if I do end up having 3 to 4 pats, I will definitely have another lurcher, or like maybe I'll get one of these like crazy project Irish wolfhounds that are in Texas right now catching hogs. Those are pretty cool.
Those Irish wolfhounds are a good-looking dog. I mean, they kind of look like a greyhound to me, but they're all real hairy and stuff.
Yeah, and it'd be cool to have like just like that kind of dog to just like back things up, and like a guy like can be in the woods with my daughter and know like if a bear walks up, it's just big enough it's going to distract to give me like time.
They swim through earth like water.
Yes, they do. Groundhogs can get anywhere pretty fast and bolt pretty quickly. They're fun.
Yep. We need to get what's this thing?
Groundhogs even climb trees. I've seen groundhogs in trees, man.
Have your dogs been up in trees?
My dogs have been in trees. They don't climb trees like Rob's dogs do, but my dogs have been up the inside of a hollow tree and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we'll find anyone who's gotten dogs higher up in trees than Rob has, but we'll see. Maybe there's someone who's been like had their dog like I don't know, freaking high. I don't. That was crazy when he was talking about how far his dogs are up in hollow trees.
Yeah, definitely crazy.
Yeah, I've had a couple up in hollow trees, so get chainsaw out.
We need to get up to Michigan to hunt with Chris Marshall.
Yeah, I think that needs to be the move, especially with how good the soil is and stuff. Like, let's make like even just talking to you now, man, makes me just want to just like get a Patterdale, like get my little service dog card, hop on a mega bus, and get over there. Shit.
Nah, let's just say, show the dog how to use his nose more, so you can smell the game underground, maybe to
concentrate on trying to see the game.
Yeah, the only way you can show him that really is just through repetition. Is just getting him out and letting him just figure out and just crawl and explore and just be a dog. Like, you get your spots, you get your areas, and just like people have too much control. Don't call them back. Just let them see and figure things out and see what they're gonna do, and like let them babble and bullshit a little bit till they know what they're doing. How many Patterdales do you guys have? Some retired breeders and hunters, and some pups coming up, future hunters. Probably good to have quite a few.
I have 2 right now, but like I said earlier, for the last 10 years I've held 6 to 8 dogs. Sometimes I've had 10 of them on my yard. So to have dogs to have rotation with is a good thing, but I don't know. It's a good thing. You know, the more dogs you got, the more hunting you can do. So to say, especially if you're only taking 3 or 4 of them out at a time. If you got 8 of them and you're taking 3 or 4 of them out at a time, or 2 or 3 of them out at a time, you know, by the time your beat up dogs are healed up, you know, you can take the other ones out while your beat up dogs are being healed up.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Marshall. Do you think retiring is a thing? Like, is Miss Boots retired, or you'd still work Miss Boots all day, right? Or
yeah, I take her out. I'm gonna take her out till the day she dies. But as she gets older, I keep her out of danger, so to say, Marshall. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. Yeah.
I try to keep her out of danger.
Yeah, I don't understand that thought process. People sometimes being like, "Oh, he or she's retired." Like, just like you just gotta like pace yourself, and like if they slow down, they slow down. But like,
yep. And as she gets older, if she locates first and shit, I'll pull her. You know what I mean? And let another dog work. You know. But when the quarry comes out of the ground, that she'll at least get a bite. You know what I'm saying by that?
Yeah, that's fair. Just to like let her locate, let her get on, let her get in the mix, and just keep an eye on her.
Yep.
Why not?
You have a couple different locators you use. You have the Peeps, and you have the one that I have also, right? But like in a different form. You have the Orthovox.
Yeah, the Orthovox. Yeah.
Orthovox. Yeah, I have an Orthovox, but yours was completely different than my Orthovox. So yours has like the blue thing with the circle.
Yep. And it works the same way as the Peeps does.
Yeah.
It's got the arrows on the top and it tells the numbers below the arrows.
Which one do you like better, or they just whatever one you?
I use my Peeps. My Orthovox was given to me by John Farrell, and it's just my backup.
Okay.
So the first thing I go to every time is my Peeps Sport. So, or if you came hunting with me and you didn't have a handheld, but you had a collar, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can hand you off my Orthovox, and I still have my Peeps, so to say. And we can both work dogs in case we get separated, so to say, and you don't have anything, But it's the Orthovox I use as my backup.
Yeah.
Okay. We have around 30 terriers easy. Eddie Hernandez.
Shit, if you've had 30 terriers and had them for a long time, come talk to us, man. We'd love to have you on and like learn. And if you maintain and work all those dogs, then you're a better person than me. So I want to hear about it.
Yeah, that's a lot of dogs to work and to feed, clean up after, and everything to even get out to work them.
Yeah,
Eddie, are they all Patterdale Terriers?
Yeah.
I mean, this is Patterdale Terrier Talk, so I'm assuming they're all Patterdale Terriers. But Eddie, are they all Patterdale Terriers? Oh, and again, I mean, actually, not again. We haven't said this tonight, but like, comment, subscribe, please. Like, comment, subscribe. A lot of you guys are already commenting, so that's great. But like and subscribe. Subscribe if you haven't already, and everyone, please hit that like button.
Yeah.
I think he means in the tri-state. Oh, okay, that's what he says. I believe he means as in the tri-state boys all together.
So that guy lives in Jersey. Cool.
Okay. There's a few of them guys. Yep. It's a
team. Jersey.
Yep.
Living in from Maryland, like and driving on those highways and stuff, you end up seeing how many places really have a lot of groundhogs. Jersey has a lot of groundhogs. It looks like Jersey has a lot of red fox, as well as like Northern Virginia, a lot of red fox, and places in Maryland for sure, a lot of red fox.
What? I'm not sure what he's asking.
No, I think he was just stating that it's a team. Yes, they're all Patterdales.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, like, yeah, it's a group of guys, I guess, and they all are in Jersey. That's
yep, tri-state boys. Yeah, we know about
tri-state boys.
Yeah, we know.
I talked to a couple of them guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. I believe that that there's a group of them, and they probably have 30 dogs all together, but I don't think there's 30 dogs on one spot.
Yeah, that's clarifying.
Yeah, yep, that's what he's saying. All together, yep, all together. Chris, I've had Pup on Hog and Raccoon down here. She's ready to come home.
That Jamie Park's telling me my pup ready to come back.
Yep.
And she proven. That dog's proven as hell. She really is, man. It'll be a great thing to have her back on my yard again. You know.
Yeah, that's great that you have like a relationship with someone they can kind of travel and work and go back and forth with a dog like that. I'm hoping I can figure something out like that eventually as I get into these dogs and I get more time.
Yep. And she's probably the only one that I've ever gotten back. You know, I've had a lot of dogs I've raised up and I've sent back to people. You know what I mean by that? And they don't never seem to come back, man, you know?
Yeah.
But me and Jamie are really good friends, you know, so
yeah,
I feel he wanted to eat, you know, and that's the deal, you know. I raise them up. I send them back. You breed them, you get what you want off of it. If you want to send them back to me, then I'll keep that. I'll keep it back on my yard. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't I? She's 4 years old and probably one of the hardest workers I've ever had.
Greg,
so, why wouldn't I want to take that dog back and keep working it till it's fucking 9 years old? You know, 10 years old.
Exactly.
I mean, he got his. He got to breed back to a proven dog. You know what I mean? I'm the one who proved the dog. You know, it'd be a shame for somebody else to end up with that dog.
Exactly, not you. Exactly.
But once he's bred her, and that was the deal. You know what I'm saying? Is raise her up, prove her, send her back to me, let me get my pups.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be a shame for somebody else to end up with that dog after I put 3.5 years of hard work into her. You know.
Definitely.
Yeah, that makes complete sense to me. Yeah, like I think we're friends on Facebook, man. I gotta touch base with you and see if we can never get one of you guys to hop on here and just talk about New Jersey and how much everywhere else statewide kind of sucks compared to that.
Yeah, actually, yeah, and yeah, Eddie, I figured that Craig is also a tri-state boy when he said yes, we are a team. So yeah, that's awesome. And me and Marshall actually spoke about that. If we could get, that would be definitely cool. If we could get if we could get a couple of you guys on here at the same time, would be.
They just have so much good farmland in Jersey and Delaware and all those places. It's just all like everything is just anything that's big space is just going to be farmland.
Yeah. But if we could get a couple of the tri-state boys on here at once to, you know, do one of these lives Wednesday night and talk Patterdales, that would be great. So,
do you guys, are them tri-state boys friends of your guys is on Facebook and stuff?
A few of them, I think I'm definitely friends with a few of them, but yeah,
too much probably.
I talked to the one guy from Tri-State Boys. His name starts with the E. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can't pronounce his name, but I talk to him on a pretty regular basis. Do you want me to message him and like drop the podcast and tell him you guys are interested, or
yeah,
I might be able to hook that up? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, why not? But Greg, I hope you're still in here. But yeah, Greg, we would love to have you guys on here. But yeah, why not, Chris? That'll work. Why not? But hopefully Greg's still in here and he's watching this and he sees us, letting him know that we would love to have him on here. And if we could get a couple, because there's a group of them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, a couple of them in on the.
Couple of them on here at once would definitely be cool.
Yeah, I can message him tomorrow and send him the link to the podcast. You know what I mean, and let him know that you guys are interested in having him on the cast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why not? Hit the like button again. Hit the like button, please, and thank you. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Is there anything else we didn't touch base on, guys? Anything you wanted to talk about, Chris?
No, not really. We hit everything that
we hit everything pretty quick and got straight to it tonight.
Yeah.
It was good. Thank you guys for having me on. It was awesome.
Thank you. Much appreciated again. Thanks again. Everyone who tuned in, everyone in the chat, hit the like button. Again, subscribe if you haven't. Tell a friend. share, let everyone know that we're doing these Wednesday nights, and we're talking with the dog we love, the Patterdale Terrier. Shout out to LYL Dogs. Shout out to the New England Patterdale Terrier Club. Marshall, you want to say anything before we get up out of here, bro?
Thanks everyone for interacting with us. We appreciate you. We'll catch y'all next week, and always shoot me any questions if you have about the pod. Y'all have a good one.
Okay, awesome. I would like to give a shout out to Jamie Parks and my buddy Dan for tuning in tonight. It was awesome of them.
Definitely.
And I'd like to say thank you guys and everybody else for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, much appreciated again.
It was a great experience.
And again, shout out to Jamie Park. Yeah, Jamie Park. Shout out to everyone who's always on here. You know what I mean? But yeah, Jamie Park's always on here and in the comments heavy. So shout out to him.
You guys should get an interview with him one of these nights.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be a good one, man. That old cat's full of a lot of information, I say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's do it, Jamie. I know you're still watching. Let's do it, man.
Yeah, Jamie, hop on, man. We'll get you on soon.
Yeah, but yeah, another great night, Wednesday nights. Patterdale Talk. Everyone have a good night. Till next time, till next week. Peace.
Yep. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'll see you guys next week.
Yes, sir. Have a good night, fellas.
Okay, you too.